we saw were crimes of poverty. People who were stealing things like toothpaste, people who were stealing things like, soap. And that means if you're stealing those things, you need them. The true crime is that there is such incredible wealth disparity in this city that there are people who can be thrown in jail simply for having a biological need.
A self-described Democratic Socialist Assemblywoman in New York doesn't think people should be punished for stealing from stores. Let's bring in Washington Examiner commentary writer Tiana Lowe Doescher and former senior advisor to RFK Jr. influencer Link Lauren. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you for having us.
Link, no punishment for stealing, really?
Soft on crime policies have never worked. And even looking at that group of women, they're so physically unappealing, they almost rival The View. They might have a second career on The View. But no, these soft on crime policies haven't worked. And there's a reason people are fleeing Chicago, Los Angeles, and New York in droves. If you go to New York City and you try to go to CVS or Walgreens, everything is behind glass. Toothpaste, shampoo, water bottles, and these liberals, they want to talk about criminal justice reform and anti-recidivism. Who championed criminal justice reform? President Trump in his first term with the First Step Act, Alice Marie Johnson, Kim Kardashian coming to the White House. He's the one who championed opportunity zones. So they're running toward communism and the DSA when President Trump is actually the one who's for these positives.
Tiana, do you think most people stealing it are doing it for having a biological need?
I think I'm going to have to borrow Link's verbiage here and point out how the physical appearance of these DSA proponents. No, the fact is that in this country, it's vanishingly rare to actually be dying of material impoverishment, right? Look, we know what works. What works is policing. Here in Washington, D.C., when President Trump brought in the National Guard, it has resulted in a 24% reduction in property crime. And that, like men and women's sports, like voter ID, it's an 80-20 issue where it's so divorced. The progressive activism is just so divorced from what ordinary people want, which is don't lock up the toothpaste, lock up the criminals.
Right. Then there's Jen Psaki taking this swipe at Caroline Leavitt.
Now, don't get me wrong. The relationship between the press and the White House is supposed to be adversarial by design. But Caroline Leavitt didn't want to engage in good faith with those reporters and their tough questions. And so instead, she did everything she could to reshape that briefing room into her own personal safe space where she rarely had to answer a tough question, hardly ever. I mean, she only briefed once or twice a week max.
Link, did Caroline rarely take a tough question?
I am so sick of the faux indignation and the faux outrage from these Joe Biden loser leftovers. They're always whining about President Trump and who he chooses to have as his press secretary. These women, Jen Psaki and Karine Jean-Pierre, they stood up there at the podium in the James Brady briefing room every single day and lied to the American people. They said Joe Biden was sharp, quick, running circles around him. They could barely keep up with him. We know that wasn't true. Joe Biden was running the country via the autopin. His wife was sitting behind the desk on Air Force One. That is a dereliction of duty from these former White House press secretaries. They were born liars, they will die liars, and they lied to the American people every single day and oversaw destructive policies in our country.
Then there's access to President Trump. The New York Post noting the president's had at least 493 exchanges with journalists, including interviews and event Q&As during his first year of his second term, compared to 246 over the first 365 days of his first term, according to figures compiled by political scientist Martha Kumar. Tiana, the White House press corps cannot complain about access to the president.
No, I mean, this is the president that tweets while he's brushing his teeth at 3 a.m., right? I think sometimes to his own detriment, he lets us all know what he's thinking, right? I'm sure sometimes the Iran negotiators are thinking, Mr. President, maybe don't say the quiet part out loud, correct? Yeah. But to Link's point, right? One of the reasons why Trump's age has not been used successfully as a cudgel against him is because we see him all the time. Because yes, Caroline did always take very adversarial briefings, but more importantly, the principle that she was speaking for is someone who will tweet truth, answer at a soundbite, everything. Whereas you had Joe Biden, where we never found out what was he doing during the fall of Kabul, right? Why was that auto pen being given out to all these lower level staffers? And Jen Psaki is never being made to answer for those questions.
Here's the father of a sailor and Senator Richard Blumenthal on conditions on board the USS Abraham Lincoln.
I would be angry beyond words if my son or daughter were on that ship without what they need to do their jobs.
As far as my particular child, I've heard pretty positive feedback about the conditions there. Food quality apparently has gone up and down, and I understand that that's to be expected.
How do you assess this one, Link?
Well, you know, it's interesting. I live and breathe political media. I have seen Richard Blumenthal on television every single night this week using these troops as a political talking point. And this is rich coming from Blumenthal, who lied about serving in Vietnam. This is a big, fat liar, Senator Blumenthal, okay? You have egg on your face. And shame on you for using these hardworking men and women, these war fighters, for political talking points going into the midterms. If I were President Trump right now, what I would advise him to do is this. He and Secretary Kennedy just introduced new healthy food to 5 military bases. They're rolling it out to more military bases, real food for our men and women in uniform. That is something no other administration has done, and it's been swept under the rug. The only network that's covered it is this one, bringing real food to our troops who serve our country. If something went amiss on this ship, I have every faith he will rectify it. Joe Biden checked his watch as troops were coming home. He didn't care about the troops in Afghanistan. President Trump couldn't be more the opposite.
Link, Tiana, I owe you one. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.